Wisconsin finishes up the strongest selling season in 10 years. We'll have the details. Plus, we'll take a look at the connection between the presidential elections and home sales and how feng shui can help you stage a home. Stay right here. Your real estate news starts now. Thank you for watching the Real Estate News. I'm your host, Stacy Hansen. Let's take a look at your headlines. Is it more difficult to sell your house in an election year? That's the question two economic experts posed in a paper published in the British Journal of Political Science. The finding was that it is more difficult to sell your home in an election year in the U.S., particularly if the race is a close one. The study found that home sales actually declined between 2 and 0.3% in the election years between 1999 and 2006. That percentage may not seem like much, but the experts say the impact is comparable to that of other well-established influences on housing markets. The closeness of the election also matters a great deal. In fact, in elections where the winner received less than 55% of the vote, home sales fell even more, between 1/3 and a full 1/2 of a percentage point. The experts have speculated that it is the uncertainty that those elections create that causes the difference. That's something to think about as we head into 2016. Housing sales throughout Wisconsin were up in August, capping off what some call the strongest summer selling season here in 10 years. According to an analysis completed by the Wisconsin Realtors Association, sales for the period of June through August were up 14% over that same period last year. Sales were especially strong in the more heavily urbanized regions of the state. Though home sales and median price levels are increasing in Wisconsin, a lack of inventory to sell remains a concern. There are currently over 19,000 fewer homes available for sale in the state today than there were in the immediate aftermath of the recession. That means that houses that are on the market are selling more quickly. In fact, the average period of time an available house was on the market in Wisconsin fell to below 100 days over the summer. That's the fastest average turnaround time for selling a home here since the summer of 2006. Home sales are looking good across the country as well. RealtyTrack recently released a report that shows 54% of metro areas across the U.S. are on track to reach an 8-year high in home sales. Chicago and Milwaukee posted the highest share of distressed home sales on that report. Those included sales of homes in the foreclosure process and sales of bank-owned homes. Chicago's percentage of distressed sales was at 16.4%, and Milwaukee's were 16.1% of total sales. If you're looking to stage a home to attract potential buyers or just create a new look for your home, you might want to consider feng shui. Architect and author Angie Cho offered some tips on incorporating it into your interior design. In her article for New York Spaces, she describes feng shui as an ancient philosophy that uses environmental psychology to enhance people's lives through their physical senses. Many of the tips involved living plants and mirrors. For example, if your cabinets don't reach the ceiling, which is ideal, Cho says you should place living plants or items that are personally valuable above them. According to the feng shui philosophy, the presence of live plants is especially important in bathrooms. Cho says the earthy elements in the plants are meant to balance the predominant water energy in bathrooms. She also suggests placing plants next to mirrors to encourage a better energy flow from water to earth to metal to wood. For more information, you can visit her website at angiecho.com. Stay tuned, we'll have more coming up right after this. Welcome back to the Real Estate News. With me now is Kirsten Goggin. She's a broker and realtor at Century 21 Affiliated. Welcome back.
Hey, thank you, Stacy. Thanks for having me back.
Oh, great. It's a pleasure to have you here. Now, last time you said there's a shortage of listings. Is that still holding true?
It is. You know, it's only been, like a week, maybe two, but, you know, things are just, it is not slowing down out there. We had a little bit of a dip over the 4th of July holiday, which is pretty common, most holidays, but then it's picked right back up again. So of the listings that I shared last week, 2 are currently being negotiated, 1's gone. I had a new listing that really isn't gone already. So yes, I want to sell your house and buyers want to buy your house. So yes, absolutely the trend is continuing.
That's great. Now you offer a home validation market analysis. What would a homeowner expect when they meet with you for that?
Sure. Well, some folks are just kind of kicking around the idea. Maybe it's a good time to sell and they feel like they need to get their house perfect or ready before they call me or meet with me, or maybe I don't want to take that step yet because they feel like some sort of obligation to then list or have to tell me no. But that's not the point of having me come out. When I come out to meet with you, it's really just to meet you and understand what your real estate needs and goals are, and whether I can help right now or whether it's a year or two from now. That's all great. The information that I can provide you, such as fair market value, also estimated days on market, I can really help you figure out, at least in this current market, how much you'd be getting back and putting towards your next house or whatever you're going to do with that money. And then with that information, it's pieces of the puzzle for you that you can put together to help decide, is this a good time to list or do I need to wait? What things do I need to do with my home to prepare it, or is it ready to go now? So really it's just about advising you, and it's, of course, if you want to list, I'm all for it and I'll be prepared for that, but it's certainly not an expectation of mine after I meet with you. I mean, if you're ready, great, and if not, then I will continue to advise you until the time is right.
So now, apart from all of this, what else sets you apart from other agents?
Sure. Well, I don't just tell and sell. My goal is not to just get you signed, get it sold, handle the details, which is of course all part of the job, but I believe my job goes far beyond that. I want to be your fiduciary. I want to be your trusted real estate advisor. So my job isn't to just listen to your needs, it's to anticipate your needs. It's to get that wider picture of what is going to be the best for you with certain offers or certain homes that you're looking at as you go forward. Instead of delivering information, I want to consult with you and help you kind of think through. And it's very emotional. It's a business transaction, but it's also highly emotional because it's a lot of money and it's also your home. So sometimes you need someone to kind of not be in that moment with you to kind of help you think of all the different angles and what is going to be the best offer to take or the best way to respond. All that. So it's much more encompassing than just getting one deal and it's done. I want to be your trusted real estate advisor for life if you stay in the area.
Now let's talk about selling flat fee. A good idea, not a good idea?
Well, I certainly won't knock it. There's some people that they're either somehow in the business or they've done a lot of transactions and they just feel that that's the right move for them, and who wouldn't like to save 3% and put it in your pocket. But the thing that you need to really think about is it seems attractive, but you get what you pay for often. Who's going to be doing the paperwork? Who's going to advise you on pricing? Are the pictures, yes, they'll take pictures and put it online, but are they going to be the same quality as like I provide professional photos, for example. So I'm not saying it's a bad idea. For some people it works great, and before I became an agent, I bought my first place FSBO and I sold it flat fee MLS. So
Really?
It certainly has its place for certain folks, but you need to be educated about what you're getting and what you're not getting with that. Essentially, if you think about it, let's say, for example, commission is 6%. And usually 3% that goes to whoever brings the buyer, 3% goes to whoever is listing and marketing your property. If you cut out the listing and marketing side, you're essentially paying a professional to negotiate against you because they're working for your buyers. Not even to mention, who's going to be guiding you through everything, and is it being properly marketed? Is it enhanced on Zillow and Trulia? So things to consider.
So what do you recommend that sellers do then to prepare their home for future sale?
Sure. Well, I think that the first thing, there's lots of information on my website. So if you contact me through there, I've got all kinds of video tutorials and checklists, things of that nature, staging, although I can certainly, once we're to that point and you're going to be listing, I personally walk through the house with you and work on maybe rearranging some things or staging. But there's a lot, there's a lot to kind of prepare. So lots of information there. And of course, have me out, because before you do a lot of pricey items, you want to make sure that you're going to get your money back out of it once you sell, and that's where I come in. So put your money here, don't put it here. What's going to help sell your house with minimal investment on your part?
Well, thanks so much for stopping by again today. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me.
And stay tuned, we'll have more after this. Welcome back to the Real Estate News. With me now is Diane Holmes. She's a realtor at RE/MAX Preferred and one of our news partners. Welcome, Diane. So nice to have you back.
Oh, thank you, Stacy. Thanks for inviting me.
Sure. Now I see you brought a guest today.
I did. Well, again, I'm Diane Holmes with RE/MAX, and I work with buyers and sellers, and I have for over 25 years and sold over 1,000 homes. But today I thought we could talk a little bit, Stacy, about the buying piece.
Okay.
And so I brought my lender friend, Dan Leader, who I've worked with for over 15 years. And he really makes this process simple. So basically the very first step is to get pre-approved.
So welcome, Dan. Nice to have you here as well. So explain the process of a buyer getting pre-approved.
Sure. Well, thank you, Diane, and thank you, Stacy. Well, pre-approval is proof to your real estate agent and to the seller that you're ready to buy a home. So the pre-approval process is simple. We look at what loan type you qualify for. We look at different down payment options for you. Then we're going to talk about your credit. We're going to look at do you need to restructure any debt before you are ready to buy. More importantly, we look to make sure there are no errors on your credit report so that we have time to fix those before you make your offer. And then we're going to look at assets and income, and from that we'll determine what is your maximum qualifying level. From there, we'll then talk about a comfortable payment for you.
So Dan, why buy now?
Well, I've had some clients talk to me about waiting to the spring market, which a lot of people tend to do, but there is a cost to that. First of all, mortgage rates are near historic lows. They are projected to rise. Freddie Mac is projecting about 5% by this time next year. Also, home prices are continuing to rise. CoreLogic just came out with its forecast of 4.7% appreciation over the next 12 months. So those two factors, when you combine them, will significantly increase your mortgage payment. For the first-time buyer, it's going to be somewhere around $200 per month. Also, beat the spring market. We may very well see a bidding war like we saw earlier this year. And investors, for example, they tend to buy in the fall to avoid that situation. So really, if you're a first-time buyer, just begin building wealth now. Stop paying your landlord's mortgage and, go ahead and take advantage of those federal tax savings by writing off your interest and your property taxes on your federal taxes and save a bundle each year.
Now, Diane, getting back to you, you have a one-stop process. Can you tell us how that works?
Oh yeah, Stacy. So it's a very simple process. The buyer comes into my office and meets with both Dan and I, and Dan will go through the pre-approval process. And once that's completed, I will sit down with the buyer, since we have the price range, and we'll go over the different styles of home, area, amenities, and that type of thing. And then we'll start looking at homes, and it may take one day or it may take 1 year to find the perfect home. But at that point, working as a buyer's agent, I'd write the offer for my client, negotiate it, get them through the inspection if there's any issues there. And then Dan and I will be there at the closing table to make sure you get the key to your new home.
That sounds great. Well, thanks so much, both of you, for stopping by today.
Oh, thank you, Stacy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sure, and you stay tuned. We'll have more coming up right after this. Welcome back to the Real Estate News. With me now is Ellen Worden. She's a realtor at Restaino & Associates. Welcome, Ellen. Nice to have you here.
Thanks, Stacy.
So what are you seeing in the Madison area market right now?
The Madison market is super busy. 55% of the markets in the United States in real estate, they're over 300, have recovered from the recession, and we've seen that in Madison. Madison has always been a strong market and wasn't as affected by the recession as many other markets were, but we're seeing such a comeback, and it's very, very good to see. Lots of activity, just that inventory is low as a result. That's probably the only negative.
Now, the big news right now is the new law affecting lending that's going into effect in October. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, the new lending law is an outgrowth of what happened with the recession, where consumers weren't reading or getting their information about their loans and their mortgages with enough lead time before they sign their documents. This new law will actually have people have their documents in their hands 3 days before they're closing. But what that does, because it speeds everything up and is also a more complex law and is a more protracted information in the documents, is that you will not be able to close as quickly. In the past, a title company could turn a transaction around in about 30 days. It looks like this law, because of what's in it, for the benefit of the consumer, will mean that you won't be able to turn it around for about 45 days. So it's big news. It was supposed to go into effect August 1st, but the federal people thought that it would slow down the economy a bit, so they're waiting till October now that we know rates will stay constant.
That's good to know. Now, what are the current interest rates right now?
On a 30-year, they're about 3.8, and of course they vary depending on the lender and depending on the day of the week. For about a 15-year mortgage, you can do 2.8 to 3.8, depending too on your credit rating. Of course, those are all tied into credit scores as well.
How are the home inventory numbers looking out there right now? Is it still a low inventory?
It is. It is still a low inventory. We're always encouraging people, if you think you want to sell, it used to be wait until spring, that's the bullish market. We don't advise that anymore. We say, you know, houses sell every month of the year. So don't hesitate to put your house on the market. Since the Federal Reserve voted to keep the rate the same, the rates are still really, really good, but we are struggling a bit. And what that means is when a house goes on the market, it often has multiple offers. And although that's good for the seller, it's also a little more complex for the lenders and for the realtors to deal with, because of course there's competing offers. And when we say to people, this is one you can't hesitate on, people are often disappointed because it's already gone by the time they've looked at it. Even if they hesitate and say, well, maybe we'll wait for the weekend to look at that, the weekend comes and the house is gone. So it's just something to keep in mind, that if you find something you really love, you probably shouldn't hesitate, because they're moving really quickly.
Great advice. Thanks so much for stopping by today, Ellen.
You're welcome.
And you stay tuned. We'll have more coming up right after this. Welcome back to the Real Estate News. With me now is Chris Fry. He's Business Development Officer at Advia Credit Union. Welcome, Chris. So nice to have you here.
Thank you, Stacy. Thank you for having me here as well.
Sure. Now tell us about Advia Credit Union.
Well, Advia Credit Union, the name is kind of a new name. Advia Credit Union is a $1.1 billion credit union. It's state chartered in Michigan. The headquarters is in Parchment, Michigan, just a stone's throw away from Kalamazoo. Advia Credit Union is made up of 24 branches. There are 20 branches in the lower Michigan Peninsula, in southwest Michigan, southeast Michigan, and northeast Michigan. And then there are 20 branches in the Wisconsin and Illinois region, which I serve.
So where are you located in this area then?
I am located in the Janesville office on Milton Avenue, but I also service our members at the two Beloit offices on Cranston Road and on 4th Street in Beloit, as well as the Blackhawk Boulevard address in Rockton, Illinois.
Lots of areas, so that makes it really convenient. Now, do you have any loan promotions going on right now?
Yes, we do. We have a number of different loan promotions going on, but my primary emphasis is in business lending. I work in the member business loan department. We have a promotion going on right now throughout the end of the year. It's giving 1% of the loan amount in free closing costs for loans of $100,000 to $1 million. So that's a savings of $1,000 to $10,000 respectively to any personal applicant or business applicant. We also have promotions going on in our consumer division, and we are offering half off on the interest rates of loans that are brought to Advia and or refinanced. And that is saving the members quite a bit of money, because they're able to get motor vehicle loans, SUV loans at a low of 1.89%, subject to underwriting, of course. They're able to get RV loans, boat loans, motorcycle loans at a low of 2.99%, and they're able to get unsecured signature notes at 4.99%. But again, my primary emphasis is in the business lending division, so I am the business development officer, and I take care of our business accounts. Our promotion is primarily for commercial real estate loans, investment property loans, and equipment loans of $100,000 to $1 million of new money or refinance money outside of the credit union.
Now, how long will those promotions be going on for?
Those promotions are going on to the end of the year. That may be subject to change, but at this point in time, that's what the designated time frames are on those promotions.
Great things to take advantage of. Now, if you have a prospective member, borrower, what types of information do you typically need to look at from them to get started?
Well, typically, we're not different from a lot of other financial organizations, but typically what we like to look at is we'll have an application, which is of course what you normally would get, but then we'll get a personal financial statement, 3 years of tax returns, and then as much information as we can get about the related project. If it's a commercial real estate loan, we'll look at information we can get on the real estate, we'll look at rent rolls. If it's an equipment loan, we'll look at purchase price and retail values on equipment, and we'll put them together on term loans. So our promotion is basically for equipment financing and commercial real estate financing on new or refinanced products.
Well, they all sound great. Thanks so much for stopping by today, Chris. It was great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
And you stay tuned. We'll have more coming up right after this. Welcome back to the Real Estate News. With me now is Dan McHugh. He's the owner of Al Byers Indoor Comfort Systems. Welcome. So nice to have you here.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure.
Oh, sure. Now, do people need to have their HVAC equipment in a home professionally serviced if they've already had a home inspection done?
Yeah, we highly recommend it because a home inspection basically will kind of gloss over an overview to make sure that the equipment is, of course, present and operable and it at least functions. But they don't get right down into the nitty-gritty and know that it's running at its peak efficiency or seeing if there's any safety issues. They're just kind of seeing if it's operable.
Makes sense. So why establish a relationship with an HVAC contractor then?
Because just like establishing a relationship with a doctor, sometimes when you need that service, that urgent service, something goes clunk in the night or whatnot, you got to call them and they need to respond right away. Well, if they have a history to know that they already know what pieces, parts, or what equipment's there, they know the model and serial number, it's going to let them get to that service call and get it fixed quicker.
Can people choose their own contractor if there was a home warranty that was included on the sale?
Not always. Usually there's a preferred vendor list that home warranty companies work with, and so therefore with that established relationship, it provides unlimited flexibility on who you can generally choose.
Okay, good to know. Well, tell us about test running the equipment once you take ownership of the home.
Well, the reason why we suggest that is because it lets you know if it's going to be functional when you take ownership, meaning after you take ownership, you might not run it for a month or two, let's say middle of fall or whatnot, and you've got 3, 4, 5 weeks before you need it. Well, you'd hate to wait right to the last minute and turn it on and then find out it isn't going to run.
Right, exactly. So what's your service territory then?
Basically, we serve from the state line, Wisconsin-Illinois state line, to about Sun Prairie area, and then from Delvin, Darien over towards the probably Oregon area.
So you provide other services as well. What are those?
Well, certainly what we do is, of course, have heating, cooling, hearth products, fireplaces, stoves, and so on, but we do radon mitigation, we do all types of ventilation. We work with dehumidification, humidification, zoning, custom fabricated ductwork, other things like that.
Well, thanks so much, Dan, and lots of good information today. Thanks for stopping by.
Well, thank you very much for having us.
And you stay tuned. We'll have more coming up right after this. From all of us here, I want to thank our guests for stopping by and all of you for tuning in to your real estate news. I'm Stacy Hansen. We'll see you next time.